Alright, so welcome back to another video. This week we'll be talking about how Gamrot versus Salkilld won't even be close. Even though the odds have it close right now, Salkilld is minus 150 versus Mateusz Gamrot, who's plus 125. The fight's not even close. And as always, I'm always going to give you guys an unbiased opinion. I'm going to break down Gamrot, I'm going to break down Salkilld. We're going to look at all of them individually, put them together, and as always, not only am I going to give you guys an unbiased opinion, but collectively, with all the information I'll be giving you guys, you'll be able to come up with your own unbiased opinion because as a sports bettor, as a UFC bettor, to make money in this game, you can't have a bias. I have no bias. I don't care about any single fighter in the UFC. I don't have a favorite fighter in the UFC. My favorite fighter is whoever makes me the most money that certain week. I'm here for money, right? And that's why one of the reasons I'm so profitable is because I don't have no emotional connections, emotional attachments with any of these fighters. I don't care about their personalities. I just care about styles because styles makes matchups and styles is where you make your money off of, okay? So, let's get started. Mateusz Gamrot versus Salkilld. The first thing we have to note, of course, is their stats. Gamrot is 35 years old, turning 36 this year. Salkilld is only 26, turning 27 this year. So he's 35, Salkilld is 26. Salkilld is 6 feet, while Gamrot is 5'10, only 2 inches in difference. The reach, Gamrot is 70.5 inches, while of course Salkilld is 75 inches. 5 inches may seem like a lot. It usually is if Salkilld knew how to strike using his reach, which he does not. So Salkild's reach, you could completely toss it out the window because he doesn't know how to use it for his own benefits. He doesn't. He just throws. So the reach won't matter here, and the height difference isn't big enough for it to matter either. The age difference, 9 years. Only thing there is, oh, Gamrot might have more experience, which he does, or Salkilld is up next because he is younger, whatever, more ambitious. But at the end of the day, if Gamrot was already declining, sure, you could make a case for that. If Gamrot already hit his peak and he was declining, you could make a case for that. However, when we look at Gamrot, he's 35. Usually at the 135 division, your prime is 30 to 35. Some may, extend to 36, 37, but usually at 130, at 155 at the lightweight division, your prime is basically 30 years old to 35. Sometimes if you've been fighting for a lot longer, for example, if you've been fighting high level fights since you're 20 years old all the way till you're 30, you usually hit your cap a little earlier. However, when we go on Gamrot, and I'm going to bring it up here for you guys, when we go on Gamrot here, on his topology, you're going to notice that Gamrot only came into the UFC in 2020. So he's only been fighting the best of the best ever since he's been fighting Armin in 2022. So Gamrot has really been fighting the best of the best for 4 years. So it's not one of those cases like Horiguchi, for example, where Horiguchi has been fighting at the highest level for like 12 years. And then he comes and gets slumped by Manal Kate because he's that chinny. Don't get me wrong, Gamrot is chinny as well, but we'll get to the point. Now we look at Salkilld, he's fought nobody. We're going to break every single category down one by one. Starting with Salkilld, he's fought nobody. Tell me one person who he fought, and let's go over his wins, okay? He just beat Benyil Dariush, a 40-year-old Dariush, which right now, you, the listener listening to this video right now, if you were able to land a clean strike on Benny, you would knock him out. So that doesn't count as a win. It was a round 1 knockout against Benny, but I promise you, anyone and their mother can knock out Benny. Then he submits Jamie Mullarkey in a fight that everyone expected, and this is what I'm talking about. People are biased. Just because he knocked out Nasrat Hakparast doesn't mean that he's gonna go and knock out Jamie Mullarkey. People forgot he's a BJJ nerd. He's not a striker. Salkilld is a BJJ nerd, not a striker. What was my bet for that fight? Salkilld via submission. It was like plus 3. It was plus 320, I think, because everyone was smashing the knockout prop. He goes in there, submits Jamie Mullarkey in round 1. Prior to that, he gets a head kick knockout against Nasrat round 1. Prior to that, he beat Yanal Ashmouche via decision, which was only a year ago, right? So he has fought so in the past, basically in 1 year, he's fought 1, 2, 3, 4 times. This would be his 5th fight in 14 months. Remember, with Merab, 4 fights in 1 year. It got to him. He had a bad performance. It happens. This is his 5th fight in 14 months. A little, to be fair, the only difference is one was high level fights, one was lower level fights. 5 round fights compared to 1 round fights. That is to know. And of course, after Yanal, he knocked out, or prior to Yanal, he knocked out Anshul Jubilee, the Indian. He knocked him out in 19 seconds. And then, of course, his Dana White's Contender Series fight against Gage Young. Nice decision about 23 months ago. So in 23 months, he's fought 6 times. Let's break down every single fight. And the fight against Gage Young, it was probably his best performance of his career. Because Gage Young isn't a bum. Gage Young is a quite decent fighter, to be honest. I was very high on Gage Young, especially in his last fight. But after, and I was betting on him. And after his performance in his last fight against Diego Moises, I was put off. I was let down. I was like, man, he's not as good as I thought he was. Because in this fight against Gage Young, that was his best performance in all of his fights in his career. Regionals plus UFC. Because you saw his striking, you saw his wrestling, you saw his BJJ. Now, for all of you guys that think that Salkilld is a striker, which he's not, you have to remember, in his Gage Young fight, he looked very good. I don't know if it's because Gage Young made him look good, but in his fight against Gage Young, his 1-2s were landing, his left hook was landing, his switch left kick was landing. It was a beautiful display of his striking. Like, honestly, it almost made him look like a half decent striker. Because again, it's very hard to teach BJJ nerds striking. It's very hard to teach them head movement, footwork. For some reason, if you've been doing BJJ for like 10 years and all of a sudden you transition to striking, they just don't get it. They're not as fluent with it. In that fight, he was taking down Gage Young. He was getting his back. Of course, Gage Young isn't an amateur. He was able to get up, reverse him, get back on the feet. It was a nice striking match. But even in that fight, like Salkilld, he looked good. His strikes were landing. His 1-2s were landing. It was his best performance of his career, right? Not his recent performances. No, his performance in Gage Young's fight was his best performance ever because we saw everything. We saw him get hit. We saw him go through adversity. We saw him countering. We saw him get the takedowns, get the reversal, sweeping, going for the back, getting the hooks in, going for the submissions. When Gage Young gets out, he would make sure he's on top. It was a good striking match, but then I'm like, holy crap, it was against Gage Young, who hasn't really lived up to the hype because he barely even beat Diego Moises. I think he lost a round as well. And then, of course, his next fight, he comes and he beats Ashnul Jubilee in 1 punch. There's not much you could do with that fight. Also, I want to note that, Salkilld was a little tired in round 2 against Gage Young. And then at the back half of round 3, he was also very tired against Gage Young. And then he fights Yanal Ashmus. And I remember this fight quite fondly because I slammed Salkilld minus 3.5. And it was a close fight, and the minus 3.5 still hit because one judge gave it to Salkilld the third round, which cashed us. But realistically, he lost that third round, right? So we really got lucky. Now, what happened against Yanal Ashmus was this, right? What you have to understand is just because he's got 1, 2, 3 knockouts, right? Just because Salkilld has 3 knockouts against an Indian, against Dariush, who's been knocked out 100 times, and against Hakparas, who was a head kick, and we don't really count head kicks as knockouts here. He really only has 1 knockout, which was basically an Indian. I'm just saying that. Against Yanal Ashmush, who's actually a wrestler, who's not that good, but he has some decent wrestling. He has strength. Against Yanal Ashmush, he immediately started wrestling, right? Because Yanal Ashmush, he's not the best striker, but like he swings like a madman. And as a BJJ nerd, seeing someone swing at you like that, you panic. And when you panic, you go to your original roots, your default settings. And for Salkilld, it's a BJJ. So he immediately shoots on Yamal Ashmus, and he gets the takedown. Then Yamal Ashmus gets back up, and he holds him in the cage for 3 minutes. Then he goes for a trip, and he gets reversed. And then at the last minute of round 1, he's getting unloaded on, but he still wins the round. Round 2 starts, right? He's starting to fade a little bit because in round 1 he was panicking. When you panic, your heart rate rises, and when your heart rate rises, you start to slow down a lot faster. Round 2 starts, same thing. He's wrestling, right? Why isn't he striking? If he's such a good striker, why is he wrestling against Yanal Ashmush? Because he's not a striker. He's a BJJ nerd, and he's panicking because to be a brawler like him, you have to be very technical. And Salkilld isn't a technical striker. He's not, because he's a BJJ nerd, a butt scoocher. So he starts wrestling, but he starts slowing down. So now all of a sudden, Yanal Ashmus is getting out of these positions. He's reversing him. He's getting up. He's landing strikes when they're disengaging from the clinch. He's landing on him. Clean, hard shots to the point where Salkilld is acknowledging it, smiling, sticking his tongue out. Yanal would, because of how tired he's getting from all the wrestling, Yanal would get out of those positions, reverse Salkilld, and then he's on top. Right, he's on top of Salkilld, and then of course Salkilld gets back up because he knows what he's doing, and then of course in the last minute again, because he's so tired, Yanal wins the last minute again, smoking him on the feet. Round 3 starts, and he's so tired, he's shooting for takedowns from 20 feet away, 10 feet away. It's like when you're going for an ankle pick, he dives for the ankle, and he's just there desperately holding it because he's tired. He gets back up. He dives for the legs again. For the first 2-3 minutes, he's diving for the ankles, and he's not even getting a takedown. Yanal's smoking him. He's winning the fight. He's winning the round. He's winning the striking battles. And then, of course, he gets the final takedown and was able to lay on Yanal Ashmus for the rest of the fight. And he wins. But he honestly lost the third round because 2 judges gave it to Yanal. 1 gave it to him. And he was tired. After the fight, he couldn't even stand properly. Like, literally, he had his hands on his knees, hunched over. He was so goddamn tired. Not from the striking, from the wrestling. From the pressure into the wrestling, into the striking. He was tired from the pressure. He didn't look good in that fight. When I saw that fight, I was like, holy crap. Quillen Salkild's ass. He's not good. He had 0 striking, 0 cardio. He's able to get reversed. He has no control on the ground. He's not that good. And then, of course, he fights Nasrat Hakparast in UAE. And same thing. Nasrat's too fast for him. Nasrat's boxing is too good for him. So what does he start doing? He starts diving for the legs. He doesn't get the takedowns. So now he's desperate. He's like, holy shit, it's round 1 and I can't even get a takedown. What do? Because if someone is piecing you up on the striking and you can't wrestle, you're forced to strike. And when you're forced to strike and you're panicking, what do? You throw your longest weapon, which is your kicks. So what you see in the first 3 minutes is, or 2 minutes is, he's throwing teeps to the body. He's throwing head kicks. He's throwing low kicks. He's throwing body kicks because he's scared. He can't get the wrestling, and he's not good in the striking enough because Nasrat's better than him at the striking department. So he's throwing his longest weapon to keep him at bay, to keep him off of him. And of course, Nasrat's dumbass goes to catch a kick. Quillen Salkilld goes up top and hits him in the head, gets a knockout. A lot of people look at that and they're like, oh my god, he's so good, he's so good. No, he threw a regular head kick. Nasrat fell for the body kick. He put his hands down. He fell for it. He gave a free knockout. It wasn't an impressive performance. If anything, what you got from the performance is he panics. If he can't get the wrestling, he panics. If you're a better striker and he can't get the wrestling, he panics, which he did. He was diving for his feet. He wasn't getting it. And of course, the random head kick lands. After that fight, he fought Jimmy Malarkey. What happened in that fight? The second the bell rings, in the first 5 seconds, he shoots for a takedown. He gets it. Jamie Malarkey gets back up. Jamie Malarkey reverses him. He reverses him. He's holding Jamie on the cage for like 2 fucking minutes. Wait a second. If he's such a good striker, why is he grappling with Jamie Malarkey? Why isn't he just beating the brakes off of him? Because he's not a striker. When you're a fighter, you go with what's most comfortable. And what's most comfortable for him is the wrestling into the jiu-jitsu, because he's not really a wrestler. He has decent wrestling though, but he is a BJJ nerd. He wants the grappling exchanges. He doesn't like the striking. And of course, you know what ends up happening? Jamie Malarkey turns him on the fence. It's been 3 minutes or 2 minutes, and then Jamie Malarkey takes him down and lands on top of him. Jamie Malarkey took you down and landed on top? But of course, Quillen Salkilld, he knows what he's doing. He puts his feet in, butterflies, gets out very simply, and then of course he takes down Jamie, goes straight for the neck, gets a submission. We cash on that submission. It was a very easy play. And then of course his most recent performance against Benny, same thing. Right, Benny and him, they start wrestling. Benny grabs him on one leg. He clips Quillen Salkilld and drops him. But again, I don't count that as a drop, as a knockdown, because again, it's like when you're on one foot and you're trying to balance and then you get hit on the chin, it's like, that doesn't mean you're chinny, right? So just because he was dropped by Benny doesn't mean Salkilld is chinny. It's just he wasn't balanced. He had no base. And of course, if you get hit like that, you get dropped. And then, of course, he's getting out wrestled. He's able to hold himself on the cage. But for 3 minutes, I think, Benny held him on the cage. For 3 minutes, a old, washed, 40 years old Benny was holding him on the cage. Now, the thing about Benny is, Benny doesn't have good offensive wrestling. Benny has good defensive wrestling. He has the best defensive wrestling. He has the best scrambles, and he has decent BJJ. Benny doesn't have good offensive wrestling. So when people say, "Oh, he beat Benny, he could beat Gamrot," you have to understand, Gamrot has good offensive wrestling. Benny doesn't have good offensive wrestling. That's why Benny was resorting to holding him on the cage. And then for 3 minutes, he held him on the cage, and then of course, they break. Instead of, because usually, like when you're in a fight and you guys break, it's usually like a mutual agreement. Okay, let's take a second and reset. Salkilld didn't. The second they broke, Salkilld put the pressure, hit him a few times, clipped him, dropped him, and got the finish. I'm not impressed by Salkilld. Like, truly, I'm not, because he doesn't have good striking, right? Just because he knocked out an Indian, he knocked out an Afghan, and he knocked out an Assyrian in round one. Benny Dariush, who is very chinny, doesn't count. A head kick doesn't count. He was getting smoked on the feet, and of course he knocks out. So basically, his only knockout in the UFC is an Indian in 19 seconds. Like, are you going to count that? And then of course his striking against Gage Young was quite decent, but not decent enough to give him the confidence, because he kept on going for the takedowns. He couldn't even hurt Gage Young, and Gage Young, who barely even beat Diego Moses, isn't that good. So then that only leaves one performance, which is the Yanal Ashmus fight. And in that fight, he gassed out in 2 rounds, and he was panicking. And if Yanal Ashmus was a better wrestler, could have taken advantage of those positions, and he didn't. And what if there was 2 more rounds in that fight? What would have happened? You know what I'm saying? That is what you got to ask yourself, right? Because honestly, like, I'm not really impressed with Salkilld. I don't think he's good at all. I don't think he's a top ranked fighter. He's really not that good. Like, what is he good at? I don't see it. His striking isn't good. His cardio isn't good. His BJJ is good. His grappling is decent, but that's it. Like, he's not really dangerous anywhere. Oh, but he has all finishes except for one. I know, but against who? Again, you got to start watching tape. Stop looking at it on paper. Start watching on tape. Now, when we look at Gamrot, okay, Gamrot has 4 losses in the UFC. His first fight against Garam, he won that fight. That doesn't really count. He lost against Hooker. I mean, realistically, he won that fight. He won round 1 and 2. He lost against Charles, which was a short notice fight. And if you watch that fight, bro, Gamrot got tired. After round 1, if you look at Gamrot, like when they showed us Gamrot, go watch that fight. They panned to Gamrot's corner. He's huffing, he's puffing, he's pouring on sweat, he's gassed. And then it pans to Charles Oliveira, and he's just chilling there, not even sweating, talking to his coaches, not even breathing heavy. He's gassed. It was a short notice fight. I think he took it on a week and a half. He gassed out, and he lost. Because Gamrot doesn't really gas out. He gets tired, of course, but he doesn't gas out. In that fight, he gassed out. We're going to break down in a few. So his only real loss is Benny Dariush. And because Benny Dariush has phenomenal takedown defense, scrambles, get-ups, and BJJ defense, he lost that fight against Dariush. And that's a prime Dariush who was like, what, on a 10-11 fight win streak? If he wasn't chinny, he could be the champion. But anyway, so he really only has 1 loss in the UFC. Okay, let's break down some of these fights. In his fight against Estevan Ribovics, everyone picked Estevan because they said, "Oh, Gamrot, he's old. He just lost to Charles. He lost to Dan Hooker. I'm telling you right now. I remember everyone in the world picked Estevan to win. They did. I picked Gamrot, but everyone picked Estevan because they said, "Oh, Gamrot's too chinny. He's gonna stuff the takedowns. His volume is too much. His striking is too much. He's gonna knock out Gamrot." That's what everyone said. You know what Gamrot did? He went back to his roots. The second the fight started, instant takedown, instant control. Got back up once, took him down again, but the control. It was like his other fights. He was controlling him on the ground. If he rolled on his back, he was fluent like water, rolling with him on his back. He wasn't giving up position. He was position over submission. He wanted to win the round. He wanted to win the fight. He wasn't giving no. He wasn't, and he was also hitting him. He was also hitting him enough so the referee doesn't stand him up. He was like, what I'm trying to say is, in that fight, he was going straight for the W. He wasn't taking no chances. He wasn't taking no risks. He wanted a strict W in that fight. And he got it. Round 2 starts. He's striking, he's striking, gets a takedown. And he's riding Estevam very nicely. And then Estevam's trying to get up on one arm, leaves his other arm open. He goes for the arm triangle on the right, on the left side, sinks it in, and gets a submission. Against Charles Oliveira, round 1 was perfect. He takes down Charles Oliveira. He's winning the fight. There's like 1 minute left. Charles Oliveira only has one. Like to get out of a takedown like that, you have to go for a leg lock, because when you go for a leg lock, it forces them to get up. You use that into a single leg and you get back up on your feet. That's what Charles Oliveira does. He won that first round, but then second round starts. Gamrot is so tired because Oliveira wins the first round because Oliveira reverses him, gets his back, whatever. Round 2 starts. Gamrot is so tired, he doesn't even try to go for a takedown. Because he knows, I'm so tired, if I go for a takedown and I make one singular mistake against Charles, it's over. He doesn't even go for a takedown. Charles is just hunting him down. Charles takes him down and goes straight for the submission. It was short notice. Can we really count that fight? No, you cannot. Prior to that, he fought Ludovic Klein. Same thing as the Estevan fight. Against Ludovic Klein, everyone in their mother picked Ludovic Klein to win. Why? Ludovic Klein is on a run. He has very good striking. He's been working on his takedown defense. He's going to beat Gamrot. What does Gamrot do? Take him down and holds him down for 3 rounds. He takes him down and held him down. Gamrot is too high level. He's too high level. RDA, same thing. Wrestling, whatever. The fight that is against the Dan Hooker fight, we gotta break this down. He's fighting Dan Hooker. Round 1, for 4 goddamn minutes, he's dominating Dan Hooker. He's dominating Dan Hooker for 4 minutes in round 1. Dan Hooker gets back up on his feet. Gamrot has his back, has the body lock, and then Gamrot, with 1 minute left, he just lets go of it. I don't know if it was because, it was probably because he's like, okay, there's only 1 minute left. I don't want to get more tired. I don't want to, waste energy that I don't have to waste because I've already won this round. 1 minute left. I'm just going to run around. He lets go. Watch round 1. Go back and watch that fight. With 1 minute left, he has the body triangle. Instead of, chaining another takedown or holding him in the cage, he literally just lets go. He just lets, it's not like Dan Hooker forced him to break the grip. No, he just let go. And then Dan Hooker pieces him up and he gets caught and he gets dropped. He still wins that round, but some judges gave it to Hooker. But again, that one, if he didn't let go there, that one simple mistake, he would have clearly won that round. Round 2 starts, wrestling, this, that, back and forth. I still think Gamrot wins. Round 3 starts, clear, Hooker wins. But the difference here is the way Hooker fights, right? Hooker fights very aggressively, right? What do they say? To beat a wrestler, you have to be the one to put them on their back foot. And no one does that. Dan Hooker is the only one that does that because he's dumb. He's genuinely dumb, and he's dumb enough to actually do that because when you're fighting someone like Gamrot, no matter who you are, you're too scared. Like if your wrestling isn't as on par or even higher than his, you're genuinely scared to throw. You're genuinely scared to move forward. Except for Dan Hooker because he's dumb. I don't think he's not mentally there. So he was able to put the pressure on Gamrot. He was able to push him back. He was able to beat him in the striking because of that. And it was of course stopping Gamrot going for takedowns, and he wins the round 3 clearly. I think he got robbed, but whatever. Salkilld does a fight like that. Like against Yanal Ashmus, he was on the back foot. Against Gage Young, he was on the back foot. If you pressure Salkilld, he will fight on the back foot. He won't be the aggressor, which will be the benefit for Gamrot. Okay? And this is the main one. 4 years ago, he fought Armin Sarukian in a 5-round fight. He fought Armin Sarukian in a 5-round fight, who has 10 times the wrestling than Salkilld. Even 4 years ago. Gamrot wins round 1, loses round 2, loses round 3, wins 4 and 5. Why does he win 4 and 5? Sarukian gets so tired in round 4 and 5 to the point that Gamrot takes his back. In round 4 and 5, Gamrot is so good and so fresh. Well, to be fair, Gamrot was tired too, but he was like the regular tired compared to like someone who's never fought a 5-round fight. They're completely gassed and out of it to the point where Armin Sarukian gave his back twice in round 4 and round 5 to the point where Gamrot almost got a rear naked choke. His BJJ is not good enough, but the fact that he was able to get to that position, because again, his experience, his cardio, he's been there, he's done that. Okay? He broke down Armin. Armin won round 2 and 3, as he should, because oh shit, I'm fighting Gamrot. Round 1, I'm going to take it easy. Round 2, he wins. Round 3, he wins. 4 and 5, he loses. He gets tired. He gets out wrestled. If Armin Sarukian is getting out wrestled in rounds 4 and 5 by Gamrot, what the fuck is Salkilld going to do? Now, my two concerns, okay? I have two concerns with Gamrot, okay? Concern number one is, of course, he's chinny, right? For example, I had basically $8,000 on Manel Cape to beat Kyoji. Why? Because I knew Kyoji, he's old, he's slow, and he's super chinny, that it's only going to take one opportunity in a 5-round fight. You don't think Manel Cape is going to find one opportunity to hit you flush on the chin? And that's what happened. Manel Cape loses round 1. Manel Cape loses round 2. Round 3, he finds opportunity as a plus 500 underdog live, clips him, drops him, finishes him. Because I knew how chinny he is, but I also knew Manel Cape is a good enough and competent enough striker to find his opportunity. Gamrot is a little chinny. He's been dropped 6-7 times in like his 12-13 fights. He's not chinny to the point where if you touch him, he falls asleep. I'm sure if the right person does touch him, he would. But is Salkilld the right person? Is a BJJ nerd who's learning striking good enough to knock out Gamrot clean? I don't think so. Because the only way Salkilld wins this fight is two ways. A fluke knockout against Gamrot, which isn't likely because he's not a striker, and I mean, sure, if he gets a fluke knockout, he gets a fluke knockout, but that's your chances for any fight. There's only two ways that Quillan Salkilld wins this fight. A fluke knockout, or Gamrot pulls a Bilal Muhammad. He pulls a Bilal Muhammad, he wakes up tomorrow morning, and he's a washed fighter. Because when fighters reach, 35, 36, 37, 38 years old, anything 35 above, it's kind of a risk because every single fighter who's once a high-level fighter, once they pass 35 years old and they continue to fight at the highest level, one day they wake up and they just put on the worst performance ever because they just instantly become washed. And we saw Bilal Muhammad do the same thing. He woke up, he fought Bonfim, he was instantly washed. He didn't even win a single fucking round. And this happens all the fucking time. So, if Gamrot doesn't wake up tomorrow washed, and if Gamrot doesn't get a fluke knocked out, how does he lose this fight? Because Gamrot has the cardio, Gamrot has the wrestling, Gamrot has the experience, and honestly, both their striking is mid. I think the striking cancels each other out. If anything, I think Gamrot will be more comfortable because Gamrot's fought Charles Oliveira on the feet. He's fought Dan Hooker on the feet. He's fought RDA on the feet. He's fought Fiziev on the feet. He's fought Jalen Turner on the feet. He's fought Diego Ferreira on the feet. Jeremy Stephenson's on the feet. Salkilld striking is it's non-existent. It's honestly trash. Everyone's hyping up his striking, but I'm telling you, his striking is not good. If anything, Gamrot is going to feel comfortable in there. Like seriously, guys, the Gamrot has been there, done that. Who is Salkilld striking? It comes down to the wrestling. Gamrot has phenomenal wrestling, phenomenal chain wrestling. Quillan Salkilld has good wrestling, not as good as his, but he has good get up. So I'm not sitting here telling you, hey, Gamrot's just gonna take him down and hold him for 25 minutes. No, I expect Gamrot to take him down. I expect Gamrot to hold him down, but then I expect Salkilld to get back up, but then Gamrot holds him in the cage. I expect Salkilld to be like, oh fuck this, you want to grapple? I'm gonna grapple you. I expect Salkilld to grapple Gamrot. I expect Salkilld to hold him on the fence. I expect Salkilld to go back to his default settings and take down Gamrot. However, that's when you fall into the trap because again, in a 5-round fight, you start to get tired, and when you get tired, you go to what you're comfortable with, which is grappling. So then he's going to start grappling Gamrot, and the second he starts grappling Gamrot, at that point, turn off the fight. Because the second Salkilld grapples with Gamrot, it's over. He's admitting defeat. Because Gamrot's going to end up reversing him, out wrestling him, and beating him, and drowning him. So unbiasedly, outside of a fluke knockout and Gamrot waking up washed, how does Salkilld win this? Because Salkilld doesn't have the striking to just beat him, nor does he have the takedown defense to keep it on the feet confidently enough to knock him out, outside of a fluke knockout. And in the wrestling department, Gamrot wins. In the cardio department, Gamrot wins. When I maxed bet, when I told the VIP I'm putting 10 units on Aljamain Sterling at plus 135, it was plus 145, and everyone called me crazy, and everyone called me stupid. Even publicly, I said Aljamain Sterling is going to dominate Yusuf Zalal. Everyone called me crazy. They all said, he's young, he's fresh, he's going to train for a 5-round fight, he's going to whatever. You know what was the first excuse Yusuf Zalal made when he lost on the mic? He said, oh my God, this was tougher than I thought. It's my first 5-round fight. My cardio wasn't there. He blamed the cardio. In this fight again, if Homie doesn't get a fluke knockout, he's going to get drowned. Round 4 and round 5, he's going to lose. You're telling me Gamrot can't win one round in round 1, 2, or 3? Because round 4 and 5, he's going to win for sure. All he needs is one round. And as Salkilld slows down, the more confident Gamrot's going to become. And the more confident you are in your fight, the less tired you get. Because you know it. I got this. I'm going to take my time. I'm not going to waste energy here. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. Compared to when you're panicking and when you're tired, you don't know what you're doing. Your head's racing. You're like, holy shit, am I going to win this? Am I not going to win this? I can't do this. Like, when you're thinking like that and you're not in that flow state, you get tired and you lose. Gamrot wins this. I truly believe Gamrot wins this. I don't know how Salkilld wins this. I don't. And the fact that Gamrot, honestly, when this fight came out, I thought Gamrot would be minus 250. He's plus 125 for God's sake. How am I going to play it? Listen, my pick is Gamrot. My bet is Gamrot. Because he's such a big underdog for a main event, I'm gonna wait for the lines to come out for the spread. I do like Gamrot by spread. Because if you put like Gamrot by spread, depending on what the odds are for which spread, whether it's plus 5.5, plus 7.5, plus 9.5, plus 13.5, I'm gonna pair that with someone else that I'm very confident who's gonna win on Saturday night, and that's gonna double my money. Because then, if Gamrot gets robbed or Gamrot has a shitty performance, I know he's gonna win the last 2 rounds. All I'm saying is Gamrot will cover the spread, and because Gamrot will cover the spread, I'll just pair that with someone else and get double my money. So my pick is Gamrot, my bet is Gamrot, my bet, which I'm because I'm not sure if I'm gonna take Gamrot straight. I will parlay him and stuff, but I don't really count parlays. But since I like to put thousands of dollars, I don't know if I'm gonna put 1,000 or 2,000 straight on Gamrot just yet. But I will tell you, I will be taking Gamrot's spread for sure. Gamrot spread is my bet. So I pick Gamrot, and my bet is Gamrot plus spread, just to cover 2-3 rounds easily. Well, 2 or 1 round, because 3 would be considered as a win. But anyways, if you made it this far, let me know in the comments. I appreciate it. Hopefully Gamrot wins, and hopefully we all make money. The picks and prediction videos will come out later this week. I don't fucking know when it's going to come out. Turn on notifications so you get it. The best bets video will come out the week after that. We cashed out on the best bets last week. We cashed out in the VIP last week. We cashed out everywhere. However, another thing if they're saying is the entire world has been cashing out for the past 2-3 weeks because it's been a very mainly heavy chalk cards. But don't forget, for the first 5 months of the year, no one was making money but us. And then, of course, all of a sudden we get chalk cards and everyone's making money. And then once the chalk cards disappear, everyone's going to start losing money again. It's not going to matter. We're up over 130 plus units. I think it's 138, 39 units. Easy money.